The universe's deadliest predators tried to feast on Earth. Big mistake. Epic Samantha Kelly stood on her back porch, coffee mug in hand, watching her two children play in the yard. The morning sun felt warm on her face, a rare pleasure for a Navy commander who spent most days in the artificial light of military facilities. She took a deep breath and smiled. Days off were precious. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She ignored it at first. Whatever it was, it could wait. The buzzing continued, then her second phone, the one only 5 people in the world had the number for, began to vibrate as well. Sam kissed her fingers and waved at her children before answering. "Commander Kelly." "Ma'am, you need to come in, now." The voice belonged to Lieutenant Garcia, her direct assistant. Something's happening. 20 minutes later, Sam rushed through the security checkpoints at Naval Intelligence Headquarters, still wearing her weekend clothes. The normal hum of activity had transformed into controlled chaos. Screens around the room displayed unusual data patterns she'd never seen before. "What am I looking at?" she asked Admiral Wright, who stood in the center of the command floor. "Objects, Commander. Massive objects at the edge of our solar system." The Admiral's voice was steady, but Sam could see the tension in his jaw. They decelerated. Natural objects don't decelerate. "How many?" 23. Smallest is roughly the size of Manhattan. Largest is bigger than Rhode Island. Sam felt her mouth go dry. "First contact. Looks that way. And these objects are giving off biological signatures." The Admiral handed her a tablet. "That's why we called you in. Your work on the biological warfare defense program might be relevant, and why we're also bringing in this man." The screen showed a man in his 50s with wild gray hair and tired eyes. Dr. Alan Murphy, professor of xenobiology at MIT. "The alien guy?" Sam asked. "The one who writes about space predators?" "The very same. His theories have been mocked for years. But now..." The Admiral gestured at the screens where the objects were clearly changing course, moving with purpose. "Now he may be the most important scientist on the planet." Dr. Murphy arrived 3 hours later, escorted by Marines. He didn't look surprised or frightened, he looked ready. "They're predators," were his first words as he entered the command center. No hello, no questions about why he'd been picked up from his university office and flown to a classified location. "I've been studying convergent evolution across Earth's ecosystems for 30 years. Certain patterns repeat because they work. These objects move like hunters." Sam introduced herself. "Commander Kelly. You seem very certain, Doctor." "The universe follows patterns, Commander. Earth's oceans produced sharks, dolphins, and ichthyosaurs independently. Different species with similar forms because that shape works for fast-swimming predators. I've been saying for years that if predator species evolved intelligence elsewhere, they would follow patterns we can recognize." A young lieutenant interrupted them. "Sir, ma'am, we're receiving a transmission. It's aimed directly at us." The screens in the command center flickered, then displayed an image that made several people gasp. The creature had features reminiscent of deep sea fish, translucent skin showing internal organs, rows of teeth, enormous eyes. But its head shape contained insect-like elements with antennae and compound eye structures alongside the larger eyes. It spoke, and somehow their computers translated. "People of Earth, we are the Veshkar. Your world has been selected as our next feast. For 100,000 years we have traveled between stars finding worlds rich with life. We consume. We continue. This is the way of the universe." Dr. Murphy nodded, his face pale but his eyes alive with a strange energy. "Just as I predicted, spacefaring apex predators," the alien continued. "We offer mercy unusual to our feeding process. Prepare suitable offerings, 20% of your population, to be consumed without resistance. The remainder will be spared immediate harvesting. You have 2 planetary rotations to comply. After this time, we will begin hunting. Those who resist will suffer before feeding us." The transmission ended. The room remained silent for nearly a minute. "They're giving us time," Sam finally said. Why give us time to prepare? Dr. Murphy smiled grimly. Confidence, arrogance. Predators who have never faced real resistance don't fear their prey. They expect us to be like all the others, to offer up the weak and sacrifice the few for the many. Admiral Wright turned to them both. The President is assembling an emergency response team. You're both on it. We're relocating to the secure facility in Montana. Transport leaves in 30 minutes. Sam thought of her children, now being taken to a secure location by her ex-husband, a fellow officer who understood protocol. These things have likely done this dozens, maybe hundreds of times. They expect us to behave like prey. But we're not prey, Dr. Murphy said. Humans are predators too. The difference is we know what it's like to be hunted. Our ancestors survived by outsmarting larger predators. It's in our DNA. The underground facility in Montana buzzed with activity when they arrived. Military leaders from around the world connected via secure channels. Scientists analyzed the limited data they had on the alien vessels. President Martin addressed them all with grim determination. We will not surrender a single human being to these creatures, he said. We fight. Planning began immediately. Dr. Murphy shared everything he knew about predator psychology and biology. They'll have evolved specialized hunting adaptations, super-sensitive hearing, smell, maybe even electromagnetic sensing. But every specialization creates weaknesses. Sam worked with Sergeant Joe Ramirez, a tactical genius who had led Special Forces missions in the world's most dangerous regions. Together they began planning Earth's defense. They expect spears and arrows, maybe some basic firearms, Ramirez said. They don't know we can split atoms, that we've mapped our own genome, that we've sent robots to other planets. We need to coordinate globally, Sam added. No nation fighting alone. United defense with layered strategies. As the deadline approached, humanity prepared. Military forces moved into position. Civilians trained for emergency protocols. Scientists worked around the clock, developing weapons based on Dr. Murphy's theories about alien biology. With 6 hours remaining before the Veshkar's deadline, President Martin addressed the world. Billions watched as he delivered humanity's answer. To the creatures threatening our world, we offer you nothing but defiance. Earth is not prey. Come and find out. Why? The first alien vessels began entering Earth's atmosphere exactly when they promised. The Veshkar, true to their nature, kept to their hunting schedule. They expected terror, surrender, perhaps token resistance. Instead, they met humanity, a species that had clawed its way to dominance on a planet full of predators that had survived ice ages and asteroids, plagues, and wars. A species that, when threatened, fought back with everything it had. The battle for Earth had begun. The universe's deadliest predators tried to feast on Earth. Big mistake. Epic, the Veshkar ships broke through the clouds like massive sea creatures swimming through ocean depths. Their biological hulls pulsed with strange light as they descended toward major cities around the world. From these living vessels came smaller craft, hunting organisms released like spores from a mushroom. Pilot Linda Ortiz sat in the cockpit of her F-35, one of 200 fighters waiting in the upper atmosphere. Her heart hammered in her chest, but her hands remained steady on the controls. Remember the plan? Came Commander Kelly's voice through her headset. They expect primitive resistance. Let's show them what humans can do when threatened. Copy that, Linda replied. She looked at the photo taped to her instrument panel, her parents and younger brother smiling back at her. Beginning attack run now. The squadron of fighters swooped down toward the largest Veshkar ship hovering over the Pacific Ocean. The alien vessel was enormous, easily 5 miles long, shaped like a deep-sea angler fish stretched to impossible proportions. Its skin rippled, with patterns of light that Dr. Murphy had identified as communication signals. Linda led the first wave, targeting the spots Dr. Murphy's team had identified as likely sensory organs. The fighters fired not conventional missiles but new weapons designed specifically for this fight. Electromagnetic pulse warheads that would disrupt the biological electrical signals that kept the massive creatures functioning. The first missiles, struck home. The Veshkar ship convulsed, its skin patterns flashing wildly. More fighters swept in, targeting the same areas. The creature ship wailed, a sound that carried even through the vacuum near space, transmitted as electromagnetic pulses that human equipment translated to sound. "It's working!" Linda shouted as she banked her fighter around for another pass. The alien vessel was bleeding now, releasing clouds of spores that her sensors identified as defensive cells. Their outer membrane is weakening. On the ground, the situation was more chaotic. The hunting organisms had reached major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Cairo, Rio de Janeiro. Each hunter stood 8 feet tall, with features combining the worst aspects of Earth's most efficient predators. They moved on powerful legs with the speed of cheetahs. Their arms ended in claws that could slice through steel. Multiple eyes allowed them to see in different spectrums, and their mouths contained rows of teeth like sharks. In New York, Sergeant Joe Ramirez coordinated the ground defense from a command center beneath Manhattan. Screens showed the hunters moving through the city streets, pursuing civilians who were actually military personnel in disguise, leading the aliens into prepared traps. Spring Sector 5, Ramirez ordered as a group of hunters entered Times Square. The disguised soldiers ducked into subway entrances. The hunters followed, sensing easy prey. Once below ground, the tunnel ahead was suddenly blocked by a wall of flame as hidden flamethrowers activated. The hunters screamed, a high-pitched sound that made the soldiers' ears bleed despite their protection. "They don't like fire," Ramirez noted, watching through helmet cameras. Dr. Murphy was right. In the Montana bunker, Dr. Murphy and Dr. Olivia Grant monitored incoming data from around the world. They had just hours to identify weaknesses in the alien biology. "The hunters are communicating with the motherships," Dr. Grant said, pointing to signal patterns on her screen. "But there's a delay. They're not a true hive mind, more like a network with lag." Dr. Murphy nodded excitedly. "That's our advantage, if we can disrupt or confuse those signals." He turned to Commander Kelly, who stood nearby coordinating. "Global military responses. We need to capture one, alive." The battle for Earth's skies continued. Linda's squadron had managed to severely damage 3 Veshkar ships, but at heavy cost. Half her pilots were gone, their fighters destroyed by defensive spores that ate through metal and glass in seconds. Linda's own fighter was damaged, one wing partially dissolved by alien bioacid. She struggled to maintain control as she lined up for what would likely be her final attack run. "This is for Earth," she whispered, then launched her remaining missiles directly at what appeared to be the ship's mouth, a massive opening that had begun to extend toward the ocean below, preparing to feed on marine life. The missiles disappeared into the dark opening. For several seconds nothing happened. Then the entire front section of the Veshkar ship bulged outward. The creature ship convulsed violently, its skin patterns going dark in sections like lights being switched off. "Direct hit on what appears to be a digestive organ," reported the analysis team. "The ship is losing altitude, it's going down in the Pacific." Linda allowed herself a brief smile before focusing on landing her damaged fighter on the nearest aircraft carrier. The first Veshkar ship had fallen. In Cairo, a team led by Captain Ben Mason had managed to isolate a hunter from its pack. Using sound weapons that disoriented the creature, they forced it into a specially designed containment chamber, then sedated it with gases based on Earth predator tranquilizers, modified according to Dr. Murphy's theories. "Package secured," Mason reported. "Transporting to research facility now." The Veshkar response was swift and terrible. The remaining ships released thousands more hunters, along with new organisms, flying creatures with transparent wings and needle-like mouths designed to inject paralytic toxins. In the Montana bunker, the captured hunter was already providing valuable information. Dr. Grant had developed a method to tap into its neural pathways, allowing them to access basic information about the Veshkar biology and hierarchy. "They've never encountered resistance like this," she told the assembled military leaders. "In their entire history, every species they've found has either been pre-technological or surrendered immediately. So we've surprised them, President." Martin said. Good. What else? They're governed by a matriarch, Dr. Murphy explained, pointing to neural activity patterns. One consciousness spread across multiple vessels. Cut off the head, so to speak, and the body will be disoriented. Commander Kelly studied the data. Which ship contains this matriarch? Dr. Grant shook her head. Not one ship. Parts of her consciousness exist in all of them, but the main concentration appears to be in the largest vessel, the one still holding position beyond our atmosphere. As the first day of battle ended, humanity had suffered heavy losses but achieved what no species had before. They had killed Veshkar ships and captured a hunter alive. The aliens withdrew their forces to higher altitudes, outside the range of fighter jets. In the dark of night, the remaining Veshkar ships pulsed with complex light patterns. They were communicating, planning. For the first time in their long history of consuming worlds, the predators faced prey that fought back effectively. The matriarch's consciousness rippled with an unfamiliar sensation. Uncertainty. Dawn would bring the second wave of the Veshkar attack, but Earth would be ready. The universe's deadliest predators tried to feast on Earth. Big mistake. Epic, the matriarch's vast consciousness stretched across the Veshkar fleet. For millions of years, her species had consumed world after world without serious resistance. Now she faced something new. These humans fought back with unexpected skill and technology. They had even killed one of her vessel bodies, something no prey species had ever accomplished. She sent a new command to her remaining ships. Release the infiltrators. Dawn broke over a damaged but defiant Earth. Smoke rose from cities where battles had raged through the night. Military forces regrouped, counting their losses and preparing for the next wave. In the Montana bunker, Dr. Murphy worked without sleep, studying data from the captured hunter. These readings can't be right, he said, rubbing his tired eyes. Dr. Olivia Grant looked over his shoulder at the screen displaying the hunter's cellular structure. The cells are changing, she confirmed, adapting their shape and function. Shapeshifters, Dr. Murphy whispered. They're sending infiltrators. Commander Kelly immediately ordered new security protocols. All personnel must be scanned before entering any secure facility. If these things can mimic humans, we need a way to detect them. Dr. Grant had an idea. Their body temperature should be different from ours, and their electrical signals won't match human patterns exactly. Within hours, her team developed scanner devices that could detect these subtle differences. They distributed the technology to military bases worldwide, just as reports came in of strange behavior among some soldiers. At a base in Germany, a security officer noticed a man walking oddly, his movements too smooth, too precise. The scanner confirmed he was not human. Special forces quickly contained the infiltrator, but not before it killed 3 people with strength no human possessed. Similar scenes played out across the globe. The Veshkar infiltrators were good, but not perfect, in their mimicry of human behavior. Their movements were too efficient, their speech patterns slightly off. Most were discovered quickly, but some penetrated deep into military structures. In the Pacific, the wounded Veshkar ship that Linda Ortiz had helped bring down lay partially submerged. A team of Navy SEALs approached in stealth boats, led by Lieutenant Paul Wilson. Their mission: gather biological samples and plant explosives to finish destroying the massive creature ship. Stay alert, Wilson warned his team as they climbed onto the pulsing hull. This thing might still be alive. The surface felt warm and slightly soft beneath their boots, like walking on firm muscle. They cut their way inside, finding twisted corridors that resembled giant arteries. The air was thick with a sweet, rotting smell. There, Wilson pointed ahead. That looks like a control center. They entered a chamber filled with glowing organs that pulsed with light in patterns similar to computer displays. But what horrified them most was what they found in the chambers beyond. Rows upon rows of transparent sacs containing partially dissolved bodies of various alien species. They keep them alive, the team's biologist whispered in horror. They're feeding on them slowly. Maximum pain, maximum fear. That's what they planned for us, Wilson said grimly. Plant the charges. We're blowing this nightmare to hell. Back. At the Montana bunker, Commander Kelly met with Dr. Murphy, Dr. Grant, and Sergeant Ramirez. They needed a new strategy. Defense alone wouldn't win this war. We need to take the fight to them, Kelly said. How? Ramirez asked. Their ships are beyond our atmospheric reach now. Dr. Murphy spread out diagrams of the Veshkar biology on the table. We use their nature against them. Predators can't resist certain stimuli, movement patterns that trigger their hunting instincts. And they're arrogant. They don't expect prey to hunt them back. Dr. Grant added, the samples from the captured hunter show something else. Their biological material contains markers we can use to create a camouflage. We could mask human biosignatures to appear like their own species. A Trojan horse, Kelly said. We get a team inside one of their ships. President Martin approved the risky plan. A small strike team would be disguised using biological material from the captured hunter. They would approach a Veshkar ship in E, one of their own small hunter craft captured mostly intact during the first wave of fighting. The team consisted of Commander Kelly, Sergeant Ramirez, Dr. Murphy, and 4 Special Forces soldiers. They injected themselves with a compound doctor. Grant had developed to temporarily alter their body's electrical signals, making them read as non-human to Veshkar sensors. This is insane, Ramirez said as they prepared to board the captured hunter craft. Sometimes insanity is the only rational response, Dr. Murphy replied, checking his equipment one last time. The hunter craft rose from Earth on modified engines. It approached the smallest Veshkar ship, which hovered at the edge of space. Kelly transmitted signals copied from their captured hunter, mimicking a returning scout. To their surprise, it worked. The massive biological vessel opened a port, allowing them entry. They landed in a docking chamber lined with the same muscular tissue Wilson's team had found in the downed ship. Stay together, Kelly whispered as they exited their craft. Plant the bioweapons at the locations we identified, then get out. They moved through pulsing corridors, hiding whenever actual hunters passed by. Dr. Murphy led them toward what he believed was the ship's central nervous system, based on the captured hunter's neural patterns. What they found there confirmed their worst fears. The ship contained vast chambers filled with transparent pods. Inside each pod was a member of a different alien species kept alive but partially dissolved, their nervous systems connected to the ship itself. Just as Wilson reported, Kelly said, her voice tight with controlled rage. They don't just eat their prey, they torture them. The pain feeds them somehow, Dr. Murphy said, scanning the chambers with a handheld device. It's part of their metabolism. They planted specialized bioweapons designed to attack the ship's nervous system with a virus that would cause it to destroy itself. As they were finishing, alarms began to sound, biochemical signals pulsing through the ship's tissue. They've detected us, Ramirez said. Run! The team fought their way back toward their craft, facing hunters who emerged from side passages. The Special Forces soldiers provided covering fire, allowing Kelly, Ramirez, and Dr. Murphy to reach the craft. 2 soldiers didn't make it. The remaining 2 barely managed to jump aboard as Kelly powered up the engines. They escaped just as the Veshkar ship began to convulse violently, the bioweapon already taking effect. As they returned to Earth, they watched the infected ship twist and writhe in space, its light patterns becoming erratic, then going dark, completely. One more down, Kelly said. But dozens remained, and now the matriarch knew humans could infiltrate her vessels. The next phase would be even more dangerous. Inside the surviving ships, the matriarch's consciousness rippled with a new emotion, rage. The universe's deadliest predators tried to feast on Earth. Big mistake. Epic the matriarch had never directly communicated with prey before. In thousands of years of hunting across the stars, it had never been necessary. But these humans had destroyed 2 of her vessel bodies and captured 1 of her hunters. This required a new approach. A message arrived at every major government center on Earth simultaneously. The image that appeared on screens was more formed this time, more deliberate in its attempt to look less frightening to human eyes. The matriarch had studied human forms and tried to create something less alien. Humans, the matriarch spoke, her voice smoother than before. You have proven yourselves worthy adversaries. We offer new terms. We will leave your planet if you provide transport vessels with 10% of your population. A small offering to sustain us on our journey to the next feeding ground. In the Montana bunker, President Frank Howard watched the transmission with Commander Kelly, Dr. Murphy, and the other leaders of Earth's defense. "She's afraid," Dr. Murphy said, studying the biological readings their sensors could detect even through the transmission. "Look at her stress markers. She's never had to negotiate before." President Howard stood up. "Prepare our response. All ships, all weapons. We attack in 6 hours." Earth had spent the 3 days since the infiltration mission building every weapon they could. Nuclear missiles had been modified based on what they now knew about Veshkar biology. Scientists had worked around the clock to develop new bioweapons specifically designed to attack the aliens' nervous systems. But the true weapon was information. Dr. Murphy and Dr. Grant had made an incredible discovery while analyzing the Veshkar communication signals. They use a standard frequency, Dr. Grant explained to the world leaders gathered for the final briefing. It's how they coordinate across multiple ships. If we broadcast on this frequency, we can reach any species they've previously encountered. "You mean other victims?" asked the Chinese president. "Yes," Dr. Murphy said. "Our data suggests they've left small populations alive on many worlds, food stocks for future harvesting. If we can reach these survivors, tell them how to fight the Veshkar, we create a multi-planet rebellion," Commander Kelly finished. 6 hours later, humanity launched its counteroffensive. Every remaining missile, fighter jet, and weapon system targeted the Veshkar ship simultaneously. At the same time, powerful transmitters around the world began broadcasting a simple message on the Veshkar frequency, repeating in mathematical patterns that could be understood across language barriers. "The predators can be killed." This is how the message included everything Earth had learned about Veshkar biology, their weaknesses, and methods to fight them. In space, the Veshkar ships began to move, trying to retreat from Earth's orbit. But they had not expected the small stealth satellites Earth had launched days earlier, positioned behind each ship. These satellites now activated, firing electromagnetic pulses that confused the biological navigation systems of the vessels. Linda Ortiz, now commanding one of the few remaining fighter squadrons, led the attack on the disoriented ships. Her fighters carried specialized missiles designed to penetrate the Veshkar hulls and deliver the bioweapons directly to their nerve centers. "Remember," she told her pilots, "aim for the sensory clusters we identified. One hit in the right spot can disable an entire ship." The Veshkar launched their hunters in massive waves, thousands of the predator organisms descending toward Earth like a rain of teeth and claws. But ground forces were ready. Under Sergeant Ramirez's coordination, anti-aircraft systems targeted the biological drop pods before they could even open. In New York, a landed Veshkar vessel smaller than the others had established a foothold in Central Park. It pulsed with angry light as it released hunter after hunter into the city. Ramirez led a ground assault team armed with weapons loaded with the engineered virus. "Stay in formation," he ordered as they approached the living ship. "Remember your training. These things are tough but not invincible." The hunters came at them in waves, but the soldiers held their line, advancing steadily toward the ship. Each hunter they killed was one less threat to humanity. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the vessel. Inside the ship, they faced the same horrific farms of suffering aliens that the previous teams had discovered. Ramirez ordered his team to place charges at key points while he pushed forward to the central nerve cluster. In space, Linda's squadron had damaged 4 more Veshkar ships. 2 were falling toward Earth, breaking apart as they entered the atmosphere. The others were retreating, but Earth's weapons followed them. There would be no escape. The matriarch's largest vessel remained at the edge of Earth's gravity well. Inside, her consciousness roiled with unfamiliar emotions. Not just rage now, but fear. In all her existence spanning millennia, she had never known defeat. Her species had evolved to be the perfect predators, and yet these humans fought with unexpected ferocity and intelligence. She made a decision. She would flee, abandon the smaller vessels, preserve the core of her consciousness, and returned to the deep void between stars where her kind had first evolved. She could rebuild her fleet from the biological material stored within her largest vessel body. As her ship turned away from Earth, the matriarch detected a new signal spreading across space. The humans were broadcasting information. Detailed information about her biology, her weaknesses, her hunting patterns. And the signal was being received. On dozens of worlds that the Veshkar had harvested and left as renewable food sources, surviving populations were listening. For the first time in her long existence, the matriarch experienced true fear. On Earth, Dr. Murphy and Dr. Grant monitored the broadcast signals from their command center. "It's working," Dr. Grant said, watching as confirmation signals came back from distant stars. "They're receiving our message." "We're not just saving Earth," Dr. Murphy said. "We're saving the galaxy from these predators." In New York, Ramirez's team had reached the heart of the landed vessel. They planted their largest charges directly on what appeared to be the ship's brain, a pulsing mass of neural tissue the size of a bus. "Fire in the hole," Ramirez said as his team retreated to a safe distance. The explosion that followed was not just physical but biological. The ship screamed as its nervous system collapsed, the sound carrying for miles across the wounded city. Across the planet, similar scenes played out as humanity pressed its advantage. The predators who had come to feast found themselves becoming prey, hunted by the very species they had dismissed as simple food. In orbit, Linda's fighters pursued the retreating matriarch's vessel. The massive living ship accelerated, pushing beyond Earth's orbit toward the darkness of deep space. But Linda had one more surprise waiting. "This is for every species you've ever hunted," she whispered as she gave the command to fire. "The universe's deadliest predators tried to feast on Earth. Big mistake." Epic Linda's order to fire sent the last of humanity's special bioweapons racing toward the matriarch's fleeing vessel. The missile streaked across space, a tiny speck against the vast darkness carrying Earth's final answer to the Veshkar threat. The matriarch sensed the approaching weapon and attempted evasive maneuvers, her massive ship body twisting in ways that defied normal physics. But the missile, guided by AI programmed with everything humans had learned about Veshkar movement patterns, adjusted its course perfectly. Impact. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The missile had penetrated the thick biological hull but caused no visible explosion. Linda waited, her fighter hovering at a safe distance, watching through enhanced optics. "Did it work?" one of her pilots asked over the comm. Before Linda could answer, the matriarch's vessel shuddered. Waves of discoloration spread across its surface like bruises forming on skin. The ship's movement became erratic, then slowed. "It worked," Linda said, allowing herself a small smile. "But not how we expected. It's not destroying her, it's paralyzing her," finished Dr. Murphy, who was monitoring from Earth through Linda's transmissions. "The pathogen isn't killing the matriarch, it's affecting her neural pathways, locking her in place." The massive Veshkar vessel now hung motionless in space, trapped in Earth's orbit, unable to flee or fight. The few remaining smaller ships, cut off from the matriarch's controlling mind, fell into disarray. Some crashed into each other. Others drifted aimlessly. On Earth, Commander Kelly coordinated the final push against the Veshkar ground forces. Without guidance from the matriarch, the hunters fought individually, still dangerous but no longer working as a coordinated force. "They're like wolves without a pack leader," Sergeant Ramirez reported from New York as his team eliminated the last hunter nests in the city. Still deadly but predictable now. One by one, the remaining hunter groups were isolated and eliminated. The ground war was ending. Humanity had won, though at terrible cost. Major cities lay in ruins. Millions had died in the initial attacks before defenses could be organized. 2 days later, humanity turned its attention to the paralyzed matriarch vessel still hanging in orbit. Scientists debated what to do with it. Some wanted to destroy it completely, removing any threat of the matriarch recovering. Others saw an opportunity to learn. "We need to board it," Dr. Murphy argued in the emergency council meeting. "The matriarch contains knowledge accumulated over thousands of years of space travel, Technology beyond our understanding. Medical advances we could use to help the wounded. President Howard looked to Commander Kelly. Your opinion? Kelly thought of all they had lost, all who had died. Part of her wanted to destroy the matriarch, completely. But another part, the part that looked to the future, knew Dr. Murphy was right. We board it, she decided, but carefully. And I lead the mission. The approach to the matriarch vessel was tense but uneventful. The ship made no move to stop them. Its surface no longer pulsed with light. It appeared dormant, though sensors indicated life still existed within. Kelly led a team including Dr. Murphy, Dr. Grant, and Sergeant Ramirez. They wore protective suits designed to shield them from any biological weapons the ship might still deploy. They entered through the same type of opening previous teams had used on smaller vessels. Inside, the corridors were dark, lit only by their helmet lamps. The ship felt different from the others, not dead, but sleeping. This way, Dr. Murphy said, following readings on his handheld device. The neural center should be ahead. They found the matriarch's consciousness chamber, at the heart of the vessel. Unlike the smaller ships, this central nervous system was enormous. A room the size of a cathedral, filled with pulsing tissue that glowed with faint internal light. Connections spread from this central mass throughout the ship like the roots of a massive tree. Incredible, Dr. Grant whispered. The entire ship is an extension of her body. As they approached the central mass, something unexpected happened. The tissue pulsed brighter, and a voice spoke directly into their minds. You have defeated me. The matriarch's thoughts came through clearly, translated by their equipment. In all my existence, no prey has ever done this. We're not prey, Kelly replied firmly. That was your first mistake. The matriarch's consciousness rippled. I sense your intention to study me, not destroy me. Why show mercy to one who came to consume your world? Dr. Murphy stepped forward. Because that's another difference between us. We can choose to be better than our instincts. What followed was the strangest negotiation in human history. The matriarch, for the first time, engaged with her food. She learned that humans had evolved as predators themselves, but had developed, beyond mere hunting, to build civilization. A concept entirely foreign to the Veshkar. Your pathogen, the matriarch communicated. It does not just paralyze, it changes my neural patterns. I feel differently. Dr. Grant checked her readings. The virus is rewriting portions of her brain chemistry. It's affecting how she processes emotion. I can feel the pain of others now, the matriarch said. The suffering we caused, it is overwhelming. Over the following weeks, humanity began the long process of rebuilding. The knowledge gained from the matriarch accelerated medicine and technology by decades. Treatments developed from Veshkar biology healed injuries that would have been permanent before. Their biological propulsion systems revolutionized space travel. More importantly, contact was established with other species the Veshkar had victimized. Earth sent ships to help these civilizations rebuild, forming the foundation of an interstellar alliance. The matriarch remained in Earth orbit, her ship body serving as both prison and embassy. The virus had fundamentally changed her, giving her something the Veshkar had never possessed, empathy. She provided knowledge and helped coordinate the effort to find and neutralize other Veshkar hunting packs that still roamed distant parts of the galaxy. 6 months after the invasion, Commander Kelly stood at a window in the new space station built near the matriarch's vessel. Earth shone blue and green below, already healing from the wounds of war. They came to consume us, Dr. Murphy said, joining her at the window. Instead, we changed them. And ourselves, Kelly added. We're not just an Earth species anymore. In the vastness of space, the word spread from system to system. The small blue planet called Earth was home to a species unlike any other. They had faced the galaxy's deadliest predators, and not only survived, but shown mercy. They were dangerous beyond measure when threatened, yet capable of compassion when victorious. The message was clear to all spacefaring species. Earth was not prey. Earth was not to be threatened. and humanity would make either a powerful friend or a terrible enemy. The choice was theirs,